I can think of very few things that are more American over a Mustang convertible. Despite being a very popular sight at America's rental fleets, this has become a very desirable sports car over the last couple of years, with the current generation making its debut back in 2015. So today, Ford has loaned me the latest Mustang GT convertible equipped with the very lovable 5-liter Coyote V8 engine. So if you guys are looking for a modern muscle car, is this latest Mustang still worth a look? That's what we're here to find out. So over the years, I've shown you guys a few videos on this 6th generation Mustang. Ford gave it a pretty extensive overhaul for the 2018 model year. So I'm not going to talk too much in terms of the exterior design, although I will say this is the first time that I've got a convertible to show you guys, so I figured I'd do an updated review. The styling on the 2019 Mustang hasn't changed. Ford made a couple of small changes to the addition of a new bullet trim, which I showed you guys already. They just unveiled the GT500, which has a 700 plus horsepower supercharged V8. And then there's also a California Special Edition version of the GT that you can add for $2,000. My tester obviously doesn't have it. This is a GT Premium. The only way you can get a convertible version of the Mustang if you guys want a V8. Now, as you can see, LED headlights are newly standard equipment from 2018. They have the signature 3 blades here in the LED running lights. You have an LED low and high beam. You have an LED turn signal down here, and then you have optional LED fog lights if you guys go for the premium package. Overall, it's still a really attractive looking vehicle. It definitely took me a couple of months to warm up to the actual look of the refreshed Mustang. Now it's starting to grow on me. You can take your pick between several different grills. This particular one just has the standard GT grill. If you guys get the California Special, it'll have a different look. The front splitter on this one is not painted. Ford offers a different bumper, a different hood. You can also add in a hood stripe. So overall, the Mustang is still classically recognizable as a Mustang, but just know that Ford didn't make any design changes for 2019. So because I had the convertible version of this car, I figured from the side profile, I may as well put the top down to show you guys what it looks like with it up or down. Obviously, the top is up right now. It's just a standard soft top. You can take a pick between black or black, basically. You can also add a hood stripe if you'd like, but the top is only one color. To open the top, there's a single latch that you just kind of twist to open up, and then it's a power-operated top. Push this button here by the map lights, and you can see the windows roll down. The top goes down in probably like less than 12 seconds, so it's a pretty quick convertible top. And once you have the top down, you can see the Mustang convertible really screams American. I mean, this is the type of car that you rent when you're driving on the Pacific Coast Highway out on the West Coast, out in California. It's just a really special looking car that Ford has really improved over the years. It's not really known as a rental fleet queen special, although you will still find plenty of these. It's become a very desirable sports car. Now, my tester being the GT Premium does have an optional 19-inch wheel that you get with the performance package. It also includes a 6-piston Brembo brake at the front, enlarged rotors, you have upgraded suspension, you have the active exhaust that this one has. It's a really good looking wheel and tire combo, especially in this ingot silver metallic paint. I don't typically like silver cars, but it looks good with this combination with the black wheels, although I wish the brake calipers were painted red, which would have been nice. Now, Mustangs in terms of size haven't really changed. You still have that 5-liter badge at the side to show that this is the V8 model, and this is about the size of your typical mid-size sedan from about 10 years ago. It's wheelbase at 107.1 inches long and 188 inches long. This is probably around 5 to 6 inches shorter than your typical mid-size family sedan in today's modern world. Now, an independent rear suspension was added to the Mustang for 2015 model year. It was basically what brought the current 6th generation into the 21st century per se. And you can see here with the roof down, you do have a back seat here, and it just gives you a very carefree kind of American look. So this is a very good angle from the Mustang. I think it looks a lot better with the roof down as opposed to the roof being up. As you can see from the rear of the Mustang, no changes for the 2019 model year. You still have the classic Mustang look at the back with these LED taillights, the 3 blink sequential turn signals, which Ford was one of the first to add on the Mustang a few years ago. It still remains an iconic statement of the Mustang whenever you see some of these in front of you with the turn signal ons. The GT models will have a little GT badge over there to show you guys that you have the V8. Again, if you guys choose use a different trim. Ford may put a different piece there covering up the GT badge, or even a circular badge there. This silver color looks pretty good with the black accent that goes across the taillight. You can also add a pedestal style rear spoiler or a simple deck lid spoiler. The performance package models do not allow you to add a rear spoiler, which is weird because I would prefer to see a nice wing type spoiler on this particular trim. My tester has a $900 active exhaust package, which was new for 2018. I'll let you guys hear that lovely V8 real quick. And honestly, the sound of the Mustang is definitely the best part. Ford really did it right when they developed the active exhaust. It really responded to the critics, and myself including, saying that this car sounded a little weak, especially if you guys got the V8. That active exhaust is also available on the EcoBoost model, so it's not just reserved to the V8 if you guys don't have the money to basically afford to put 8 cylinders underneath the vehicle. Now, in terms of the trunk capacity, there is a little release over here. And then when you open up the trunk, Ford says that the convertible version is rated at 11.4 cubic feet of space. That is a reduction of 2 cubic feet of space compared to the standard coupe model. It's still a very usable trunk, as you can see. The opening is on the medium side. This is bigger than the Camaro, not quite as big as what you get on the Dodge Challenger. While the outside of the Mustang definitely looks fun, let's hop into the interior and see some of the changes that Ford has made for 2019. As you can see, here's the key fob for the vehicle. Ford made the intelligent access key with push button start standard across all Mustang trims for 2018. As you can see, my tester has remote start. If you want to activate the remote start, just lock the vehicle first, then double tap this button here twice, and then the vehicle will roar to life for you. If you want to shut off the engine, just double tap the button again, and that shuts off the engine for you. Now, as you approach the door handle here, you can see there's a little area where you can touch your finger there. If you have the key on you, it'll lock the door. Unlock it, Ford does a sensor, and that unlocks the door for you. Now, looking at the inside of my particular tester, you can see it's got a black Alcantara leather combination. This being a premium model does include power seats. It's like a 6-way power seat. No memory seats though. My tester's missing a 401A upgrade package that gives you that feature along with a heated steering wheel. They are heated and cooled seats, and the seats, as you can see, look pretty nice. If you guys don't prefer these seats, you can also get a Recaro seat available. That chime is really, really annoying. But getting into this vehicle, so I can try to shut the chime off, you can see it's very low. It definitely is very characteristic of a Mustang. And then shutting this door, the door is very heavy. It also doesn't sound particularly solid. The convertible version, because Ford chopped off the roof, you definitely notice there's some cowl shake, which I'll talk about in the driving portion later on. Now, keep the key fob in here. Ford has a little button here to fire up the engine down here. Put your foot on the brake, push this button. And that's with the exhaust in basically normal mode, or I'm sorry, actually it's in track mode right now because that's the mode that I left it in. So that's with the exhaust in track mode. Oh my God. It sounds like an F-Type. Seriously, that sound is fantastic. Now, if you guys don't want to piss off your neighbors too much, Ford does allow you to go into the settings here and put the exhaust into a quiet mode, which, as you heard, there's quiet, here's track. Pretty big difference there, but let's go to quiet mode and let's rev up the engine. So considerably quieter in track mode. If you really are fond of your neighbors, you don't want to piss them off, do the quiet start option, which Ford gives you because of this dual mode exhaust. Definitely worth the $900 that Ford charges for this exhaust. Now, as you can see, the rest of this interior, being the premium trim, you do have some faux stitching on this dual cowl part of the dashboard. This carbon fiber that you're seeing across the interior is $1,600 extra. You have more faux stitching along the center stack over here, the Sync 3 infotainment system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's included with the premium package. This door panel here is also soft touch that you get on the premium package. Aluminum accented door handle here, nice and padded right there. The windows are one-touch automatic up-down for the driver and front passenger window, but not that rear window in the back, that little quarter window. That's actually not one touch. That's there again whenever you put the roof up or down. Now, the steering wheel, as you can see, hasn't really made any changes. There are paddles on the wheel for the 10-speed auto. The wheel itself is tilt and telescoping with a pretty good amount of adjustability, which is good. These gauges, these are the standard gauges. If I had the 401A upgrade package, it'll include a 12-inch display, LCD display that's customizable, which I've shown you guys on the Bullet. This to me looks a little bit dated, but I do like, you know, they haven't really changed it. I do like how they kind of reference airplanes in here with the, you know, ground speed over there, the, you know, the toggle switches here and there, the circular vents. It's a very nice looking cabin, if somewhat dated in terms of the tech if you guys don't go for that LCD screen. This also looks pretty old. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but the resolution looks coarse. It looks like it's from like an iPhone 6 as opposed to an iPhone XS or whatnot. Ford has a much better looking display in some of the newer Lincoln products and the newest Ford products. So again, the Mustang's definitely getting up there. The performance package adds these two gauges over here, which is nice. You can also go into a performance display. If you go to the track apps, Ford basically gives you a lot of things where you can go to an accelerometer. There's a line lock function for when you want to heat up the rear tires, braking performance, lap timer, etc. So lots of great stuff here. And like typical other Fords, you can basically change the gauge cluster if you'd like. You can go to your settings here and go to My Color, and you can change the way the gauges look at night. You can basically change the halo ring, you can change the light rings, you can change the ambient lighting in the interior. So it again looks pretty cool. Very great in terms of customization, which is always good. Now putting the vehicle into reverse, you can see backup camera is standard. It does have trajectory, no 360 camera. You do have parking sensors, but it looks like Ford doesn't offer their parallel parking feature, which you could offer it on this vehicle. It's definitely big enough. Now going to the Sync 3 infotainment system, I've shown you guys this before, so I'm not going to go too much in depth with this. Some of the other Ford products definitely have a much newer system here, and this just, again, is a little bit slow to respond. And I also find the GPS navigation system, while it is snappy, it's definitely starting to look old. Most of you probably won't even use the embedded navigation that Ford offers. Instead, you'll just be using the Apple CarPlay, like the Waze integration, which Ford was one of the first ones that they introduced a couple years ago, which is great. Now, down here you can see you have your audio controls, you have your volume knob, tuning knob, buttons over here, you have your heated and cooled seat controls over there, toggles more for the dual zone climate control. You have some toggles over here to adjust the drive modes. You can see there's a Sport, Sport Plus, track, and then a drag strip mode, which is definitely cool. I hate how the car dings at you every time you're going into the track mode. It's very annoying. I just wish that there was a way you could turn that off. This shifter here is definitely very retro. It tries to look like a manual transmission. You have your basically PRNDS. No manual mode down here. Instead, you have to use the paddles. A little bit more storage over there, a USB port, which is great. The plastic over here feels a little bit cheap. I know some models, if you guys go for like the upgraded interior, which my tester is missing, will wrap this in leather. This feels a little bit on the cheaper side. Two cup holders over here, which is good. A nice padded armrest over here with good storage. The seats are pretty comfortable and supportive. And then you have a decent sized glove box that's stamped, but not lined with felt. But overall, this inside definitely starting to feel a little bit old, but has a lot of retro cues. I think a lot of buyers are going to be still quite pleased with this. So as you can see, the Mustang has these tiny back seats, so I figured I'd show you guys if they're actually usable in case you guys actually have to put human bodies back there, or maybe a few packages. Now, as you can see, the door opens pretty largely, so getting back here shouldn't be too much of an issue. When you pull this little seat back lever, the seat kind of moves or reclines forward, but it doesn't actually move the seat track forward because I have the power seat option. Instead, you have to power or use the power switch to kind of move the seat out of the way. But once you move it out of the way, you can see getting back here, Ford actually rates the legroom back here at 29 inches, which is pretty small. This is really, really unusable for adults. You're gonna be reserving it for kids. As you can see, I had to push the front seat pretty far back to actually give me a decent amount of room back here, but then the front passenger loses all 45 inches of their legroom up there, which is definitely a lot of or a huge reduction in terms of the space. But as you can see back here, I'm pretty thin and I'm 5'7", and I fit back here okay. The seats are definitely on the narrower side, so if you're of a wider frame or you're just severely overweight, you're not gonna fit back here. It only seats two. They're basically two jump seats. They're reserved for kids. But as you can see here, when you have the seat actually moved forward, if you guys put two smaller peep-sized people back here, you could theoretically put four in this vehicle, and with the top down, it's a really nice view. Now, under the hood of the 2019 Mustang, Ford hasn't made any changes this year because they made a plethora of changes to the vehicle last year for 2018. This one being the GT has the motor you want. It's the 5-liter Coyote V8 engine with direct and port injection. And for 2018, Ford did increase the power. It makes 460 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque. I showed you guys the Bullet last year, which basically has 20 more horsepower than this due to the intake runners from the Shelby GT350. Now, in this application, with fuel economy, it is about 150 to 200 pounds heavier than a coupe, so it's rated at 15 in the city, 24 on the highway, which is basically a decrease of 1 mpg versus what you get in the coupe version. If you guys want better mpg, you can go for an EcoBoost, which is available on the convertible. It's the same 2.3 liter with 310 horsepower, 350 foot-pounds of torque. That gets up to 32 mpg. Now, Mustangs are all rear-wheel drive. There's no all-wheel drive version available. You can take your pick between a standard 6-speed manual or this new 10-speed automatic transmission that was co-developed with GM. It's a $1,500 option if you guys want the automatic transmission. As this one sits, as I said, about 3,800 pounds, a little under 3,900 pounds. Let's get it on the road and see how it performs. So driving the 2019 Mustang convertible, I definitely have a love-hate relationship. The love comes from the fact that I can just hear that V8 right behind me with the top down. That's just fantastic. That's the love part of this thing. The hate comes from two things. I hate the automatic transmission in this car. The 10-speed, as much as I want to love the 10-speed in this vehicle, it is just so jerky. It's so confused. Ford has totally screwed up the programming in this thing. And really, it's a software update and a tune away from being a good transmission. There are times where I think the transmission does a good job of shifting, especially if I have it in sport, if I have it into its manual mode, using the paddles. It does a decent job. But then when you leave the transmission to its own gears, its own accord, let me first show you guys what I mean in sport with the paddles. Oh my God, this thing sounds phenomenal. Oh, you know, it has a very unique, tone to it. It almost somewhat reminds me of an F-Type, but at the same time, it's just such a melodious tune because this thing screams to 7,500 RPM, which the other muscle cars just dream of doing. This car is so phenomenal because of that. God, this thing's so good. But when you're not going through the gears and driving like an asshole, because let's face it, a Mustang convertible, a GT like this is going to make you drive that way. This is where the second part of my hate comes in with this car. The convertible version is only about 200 pounds heavier, but man, does it feel a lot heavier than the coupe. It also doesn't feel as structurally stiff because we go over a bump, the cowl shakes. It just reminds you of a convertible from 5-10 years ago. It just feels like it was designed to be a coupe first, a convertible second. I've just driven convertibles that have just felt so much stiffer. Everything shakes every time I hit a bump. The steering shakes, the seat shakes, the cowl shakes here, this whole structure quivers. It just makes the car feel not very buttoned down, not very secure. It's a very loose feeling car. Even though my Tester has the performance package, it just doesn't really put the power down all that well at times. But God, the noise. You gotta love the noise that this car gives you with the active exhaust. It's worth the $895 that Ford charges for it. And you just have to, it reminds you gotta get the V8. A Mustang sounds best with the V8. I mean, I haven't heard the EcoBoost Mustang yet with this active exhaust, so I'll have to reserve judgment on that. But God, this thing just sounds so good. It just sounds like thunder. When you're really going through the gears, it just sounds like thunder. It's such a wonderful noise. It's just a sound of muscle car. This is like a sound of the 60s. And I have the transmission in its regular drive mode now, and you can see it's downshifting for me to rev match. It's just jerky. My head's constantly bobbing in this thing. Now, going on this corner here, you can see the tires have good grip. These are Michelin Pilot Super Sport 4S tires or whatever, Pilot Sport 4S, but the whole rest of the car, the steering is numb. That sounds so good, oh my God. Now from a stop here, let's floor it. Oh my God, that sounds great. I can seriously get into so much trouble with this damn car. See, there the transmission actually shifted really well. I was happy. I was happy with the way it shifted there. It's fantastic. And that sound, oh, I can't get enough of that noise. But God, this car would be so good with the manual transmission. Just get a Mustang with the stick shift. But anyways, I've had way too much fun. Let's go back into its normal drive mode here and just kind of cruise, because You know, convertibles are meant to be boulevard cruisers as well. And the wind buffeting here is not as bad as I thought it would be. If you have the windows up here, it does do a good job there. I believe there's like something you could put in the rear over there that'll help to cut the buffeting even more. Maybe it's like a Ford accessory or something like that, but it's not bad. You know, you can have a conversation. I'm going like 70 right now, and it's not as bad. You know, my hair is not getting messed up, so people with big hair, you can theoretically drive with the convertible top down without getting your hair too messed up. The ride quality is also pretty good. It's actually pretty comfortable and normal. This one has the magnetic rheological dampers. It's like $1,600 extra, and you do notice the difference when you put it into normal. It's very comfortable. The fuel economy is abysmal. I've been getting 16 miles to the gallon because I've just been wanting to listen to that lovely V8 noise at every opportunity that I've got, so not great gas mileage, but you kind of expected that with a muscle car like this. And that's the thing about the Mustang. It genuinely feels like a traditional muscle car. I am such a child, but that's the whole point of this car. It's so American, it's so comical, and that's the whole reason why you're going to want to buy a Mustang convertible. To drive with the top down on a nice day, listening to the wail of that 5-liter Coyote V8. So as you can see, the current generation Ford Mustang is still a very lovable vehicle without its fair share of flaws. I mean, come on, let's face it, no car nowadays is perfect. But Ford has seriously delivered a Mustang that delivers all of the traits that we love about Mustangs of the past. This is a car that is just oozing with character, oozing with heritage, and with the roof gone, it makes the Mustang an even more enjoyable vehicle if you guys live in a fair weather state, or if you're in the springtime like I am here in the DC area. Now, if you guys are looking for the convertible version, it does add a pretty expensive $5,500 more to the price tag of the coupe version, and if you guys are looking for the GT model, it adds a whopping $8,000 more to the price tag. And really my only complaint with the current generation Mustang, with this refreshed one, is the 10-speed automatic transmission. I really don't like the programming that Ford has done with the transmission. I don't like how jerky it is. I don't like how unresponsive it is. It seems like it's been tuned more for fuel economy, and for that reason alone, I'd save $1,600 and get the 6-speed manual version, which I fell in love with in the Bullet. And really, I love the fact that Ford still offers a manual transmission in all the trims of the Mustang, and even makes it proprietary if you guys go for like a Shelby GT5 or GT350. Now, in terms of the living with it as a daily driver, the Mustang's ride quality is agreeable. That magnetic ride control suspension is good. The active exhaust is a steal for $900. But really what makes the Mustang such a shocker is the price tag. If you guys are looking to bring home a convertible version, the cheapest one you can buy is around $31,500 for a base EcoBoost model. Now, if you guys are looking for the GT, which only comes in premium trim, which is like another $5 grand on top of the regular GT you can get in the coupe, this car starts at just under $45,000. Now, my tester actually has a pretty good amount of options on it. $4,000 for the performance package, $1,600 for the automatic transmission, another $1,600 for the carbon fiber on the interior. It's got the optional navigation system for $800. I mean, this thing all in is stickered for an eye-watering $56,125, which to me, in my eyes, is about $5,000 too expensive. But keep in mind, if you guys want a fully loaded version of the Camaro SS, or 2SS, basically in convertible version, you're gonna be spending in the mid $50,000 range. And keep in mind, you also have a 460 horsepower V8 that sounds glorious every time you put your foot down. That only sounds even better when that top is down. Just make sure you guys go for the manual transmission if you guys are actually planning to put one of these in your garage. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2019 Ford Mustang GT convertible. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.